Okay, everybody, thank you for coming here. I just started the video, so just now, because I was getting ready. Things happen, and I'm not going to rush for anybody. I'm not going to devalue myself just for the sake of something else and others. It's like you don't. This is a really critical life lesson that you all need to know. I'm going to turn the light on because it's a little bit dim. Excuse me. This is a really critical life lesson. Is you do not launch a balloon unless it is filled with air. You don't just launch a rocket ship. You have to prepare the rocket ship to be launched. You don't just set off on a hike up Mount Everest. You prep and you prepare. If you are not prepared and you do not get your ducks in a row before flying and taking off, then you will be dead in the water. If I'm rushing and I'm not doing things that are in accordance to my values, in accordance to what is right to do, just simply right to do, logical to do, for myself that I need to do, then I am devaluing myself. I am lying to myself, and I'm not being true to myself. And the only way that I should not be true to myself is if I'm trying to break a pattern and break a habit that is not working for me, in which I'm doing that right now. I am not going to be a martyr or devaluing myself for other people. I'm not going to, rush and not do things a certain way just because of another situation. I would rather be late for the party than come to the party and not be able to enjoy the whole entire thing because I didn't take care of myself properly. I didn't do the steps. And I didn't, I'm not going to enjoy the party. I'm not going to enjoy the experience because I'm not ready. I don't have all my things that I need. So that really makes a difference. And, just like that, you heard a cough. If I'm coughing, if I'm sick, I'm not ready for the party, and I am not going to enjoy the party. There has been times where I have sat and tried to repress something that I felt insecure about, and then it's finally over, I can finally take care of it, and the present, when I take care of it, okay, so let's say I go to a party, and then I come home, when I can finally take care of that thing I needed to take care of, and then I can enjoy myself, I can relax. Isn't it so funny that watching a video of Pam Gregory was so much more enjoyable than being at a party where I felt insecure because I didn't take care of myself. And part of the reason why was because I would be rushing for others. And this never happened to me. It shouldn't happen, but this is, just generically, just in general. That if I do not do things a certain way, and if I'm rushing around for others, then I am just rushing around instead of taking care of it. And that is going to mean all the difference. It's like if you don't do your homework properly before going outside and playing. And that homework and those assignments may eat away at you like, oh, I have to do this, and you feel guilty, but instead you're watching a video and you're doing something else. But then that assignment that you have to do is eating away at you and you feel so guilty and you're sitting on that energy of taking care of it. The only exception to this is when I come home from a day at DMAC, because you all know that I went to DMAC and I'm going to be going there again this year. I have a rule that I will not do any homework assignments that I need to do for any classes when I come home from DNAC. Because that is the time to relax, to rest. I'm not going to be rushing and, trying to meet a deadline on a day that I come back from DNAC. It is not going to happen because of there was a solar eclipse on November 21st of last year. The solar eclipse happened at 29 degrees and 1 degree of Scorpio. And it was a powerful eclipse. And the whole point in saying that is because that day was so revelatory, and I learned so much, and I grew a lot from that particular day because it was so challenging, because the energies. Mars was retrograde. Mars was squaring Neptune. The Sun and Moon were in Scorpio. There were so many factors that were playing out astrologically and energetically that were saying you need to relax and do some self-care. Do not lie to yourself. Be true to yourself. Because on that particular day, I was scattered. I was frustrated. I was unfocused. I was stressed out. I was torturing myself because I weighed out the pros and cons when I was in that class of should I do this assignment that I had to do, and I weighed them out, and guess what? There were more cons than pros. But instead of doing what was right for me, instead of following my intuition and my truth, because I regret what I did, that's why I didn't follow my intuition. When you don't follow your intuition, you end up regretting something. Here's the only reason why I did that. External, reasons. External authority. Pam Gregory is a role model, and I'm going to get to her today. She talks about living from the inside out as opposed to living from the outside in. And I was not living from the inside out. It was the opposite. I was allowing the stress of what I had to do and the pressure that I was feeling to get that done affect me energetically. And it really was draining. It was very, very draining. And if I could rewind the clock, I would not do that assignment. And I would just get a lower grade. Okay, it is not the end of the world if I get a lower grade. At least I was true to myself, and at least I didn't do something that cost me my peace. Because doing that assignment cost me my peace. Cost me my peace. I have to stand this way to acknowledge, because there's people over here and there's people over there. So I am aware that I'm not acknowledging the people over here. This is a lot of people to talk to. So I'm not going to do anything that is going to cost me my peace. Where do you want to put your energy? Where do you want to put your value? Is it true to your needs? And I needed to do what I wanted to do. I needed to relax. I needed self-care. I did not allow myself to nurture myself and take time out and do what I wanted. I was so caught up in the stress, and it affected my mood. It affected how I treated people. It affected so many different things, and it was certainly not the North Node in Taurus. Crunching away at a deadline for an assignment and working hard and pushing yourself is not the North Node in Taurus. It is when something feels true to you and okay, I'm heading, this is the direction that I need to go in, and it's a positive one. Mel Robbins, again, she's great at what she does. But if you're not going to acknowledge the divine feminine and the divine masculine, if you're not going to come home to the fact that we are human beings and not human doings, let yourself take care of yourself. When you feel like you can push yourself to do something, then do it and be true to yourself. If you wake up in the morning at an early time and you feel like you want to stay in bed because you absolutely don't feel like getting up, plug up the courage and get some, self-respect. And it may be hard in a draining situation where you feel the pressure from others. Just pluck up the courage and do what's true to you. If you feel like you don't want to get out of bed, stay in bed and be comfortable until you feel, okay, it's time to get up now. And then you can get up and then you can push yourself and get the things that you need to do done. But it is about the experience. Don't you want to enjoy your life? You have to live your life in alignment with human nature. And I don't feel like Mel Robbins is, acknowledging, that human nature. And, yeah, we have the knowledge that we need to get up and take care of something, but we don't want to. That does not necessarily have to be a bad thing. When we feel time, it's all a balancing act. Don't procrastinate on what you need to get done, but there is a difference between pushing yourself to get it done and not procrastinating and picking up the energy and doing it, but then also being true to yourself and taking care of yourself and doing it when the time is right, and you will know that you'll just know it. Don't overthink it. You'll just know when the time is right to, pick up the energy and act on it. So I cannot believe that I allowed myself to be, pulled down. Maria De Simone was making a video about, a different situation, but it did deal with her being pulled down by something external to her. And where do you need to draw the line? Energetically, emotionally. And yeah, I read that anything that costs your peace is too expensive, and because of the pressure, Mars was retrograde, so action is a little, it's a little dicey. When Mars is moving forward, you can move forward. Mars is movement, Mars is action, Mars is, to get up and go, to take action. And it was retrograde, squaring Neptune, immutable signs. That is astrological jargon, I'm aware of that, and I'm going to get to that also today. But I really do want to share with you that it becomes so important as we're winding down this nodal journey of the North Node in Taurus, and Jupiter moving into Taurus, and the fixed cross coming up the middle of May, to do what's true to you. When the North Node moves into Taurus or Aries, it may become easier to look at Mel Robbins' advice and go for that masculine, pushing yourself, getting something done, all of that, because she has the North Node in Aries. The day that the North Node moves into Aries, I will start really watching her videos and taking her advice and doing all that. But Taurus does not want to push. If you push yourself, if you have the determination to get something done, you're gonna, shoot yourself in the foot, and that's what I did. So, circumstances have come to me, situations have come in my life, and I'm sure all of your lives that have tested me. They have tested me. The lesson with North Node and Taurus is to be willing to go slow and steady and do all that. It kind of makes it difficult when you have a deadline. And Taurus, I don't like saying this, but does it do deadlines? I don't know. It all depends on the urgency of the deadline. I have not watched a single North Node and Taurus video that says push yourself, get something done, rush toward a deadline. I haven't seen a video about the North Node and Taurus that have said any one of those things about rushing yourself, pushing yourself, anything like that. And there is a reason for it, because that is not the direction to go in. So you're moving towards your north node, and that takes the balancing act of the south and the north. And you know you're not moving toward the north node when you feel stuck, you don't feel fulfilled, you don't feel happy. It's that simple. Let's not overcomplicate things. So, that's my little lesson for today. At least this time around I can talk without my voice. I can, because the last time I did this I could barely talk. I could barely get a word out. Because my voice was, my vocal cords, my voice was lower because I had some, just kind of a throat cold and phlegm in my throat and stuff like that. Back in February, middle of February, right around the new moon in Pisces on February 20th is when we were here. And I was doing a meeting. And some of you remember that meeting. Okay, so I think this is going to be an easier time. We'll see how it goes. I'll try to be brief and concise. I'll try to be clear. But you need to listen. It is imperative that I'm recording this. It is imperative that you go back and listen to this and watch this so that you get the information. Also, I'm only going to be responsible for so much because Susan, Linda, and Daniel do those details. I'm not responsible for that. I don't get paid to do that. That's not my job, as I've said before. I do want to remind you again, if anything should happen while I'm giving my announcements, if any family member, now that we're here, it's easier. So if a family member comes from that kitchen and then reminds me I'm doing this too much, I should be taking, okay, so if a family member comes from that kitchen and says, you're in here too long, let's have lunch, let's do something else, Grandma would like to get in the living room, anything like that, and I will stop the meeting. I will stop the meeting. And Susan, Linda, or Daniel will give you the announcement for this week. You all know how this works. Interestingly, it's not as chaotic as I thought that it would be, so that's good, and you're all set up, of course. So, anyway, getting to this week, I have to get the computer on to tell you about what is going on this week. I want to be clear, I want to be concise, I want to be to the point. So, once this loads, I will get it set up. Okay. Gorgeous. Oh, this is ridiculous. Come on. Does anyone been having any snafus, Mercury retrograde stuff happening lately? Yeah. This time, Mercury retrograde in Taurus, probably not in here. I am saying this for my own autonomy. I'm not pulling anything out of any narrative. This is my personal opinion. I would not recommend this time having deadlines. I really wouldn't recommend that. If you have a deadline, weigh out the pros and cons. Is it worth it? Is it worth the cost of this? And guess what? What I did on November 21st cost me way too much. And I bit off way more than I could bargain for, way more than I can chew, and I will never do that again. So I'm calling that day an eclipse, because eclipses are, really when something let's call it a massive change, massive transformation. And I was being eclipsed with those, North Node lessons in the Sign of Taurus. Even though it was not an eclipse, it was for me. And especially as it was the last day after, before Thanksgiving break, you're going to find yourself, if you have a deadline, it's going to be harder to slow down and, focus, because you have so much going on in your mind and you want to get this done. It is going to be more challenging, and you've all had your finals already, and hopefully you did not rush through that. And guess what? If you don't get your finals done because it does not feel right for you, guess what? I'm not gonna, I don't blame you. I don't blame you if you do not get your finals done because you found out. We make mistakes, and sometimes we see that things are due late, and then we, are so stressed out because we have to rush to get it done. I don't blame you if you decide, okay, you know what, I have to get this done, but I'm just not going to, because it would cost me my peace. I would not blame you at all, and guess what? You are saving yourself a lot of grief, and you are doing good to yourself. You're doing good to yourself, and you're, respecting yourself. You're valuing yourself, which is what I'm going to be doing. So, that's all that I have to say about that. But I'm just going to go to this week's announcements. I prepared a presentation. We just present it here. So these are the weekly announcements. I would like to get something to put the camera on so that I can film, but of course we can't do that because we're not in a proper setup to do it. So, okay, so I'm aware that I may be the only person or one of the only people that will be seeing this screen. I'm aware of that, but it is what it is. So, this is the week of May 7th, 2023. So, yesterday night, I was really inspired. I was very inspired. I was watching Pam Gregory's update on the new moon in Taurus on May 19th, which is a really wonderful new moon, and it's going to be the new moon to reset my relationship with my computer, let me tell you. However, it's not going to be, it's around a fixed grand cross, super powerful dynamic energy. Use your will to break out of, things feel stuck. If you feel like you're stuck in a comfort zone and you want to let something go and you want to finally make changes, this may be the time when you feel like you can empower yourself finally to make those changes that you want to. And it may require you to be uncomfortable. And when it comes to the middle of May, the middle of this month, when we had the fixed grand cross, so Jupiter in Taurus is going to square Pluto, and then Mars is going to be opposite Pluto. So Mars is going to move into Leo, Pluto's in Aquarius, that forms an opposition. Taurus and Aquarius square each other. I wonder, I'm just going to approach it with curiosity. I wonder, will my buttons get pushed? I wonder. How will I react to this? I wonder what will be, approaching it with, curiosity, around this time, and allow yourself to act with what feels right to act at this time. And, act from a place of, compassion, love, and, heart center, all those kinds of things like that. But be natural and really don't hold things in during this time. Express yourself, let it out. yeah. So your buttons may or may not get pushed. Who knows what will be happening individually with this or collectively with this, but it's going to be huge. Because fixed signs are kind of immovable. They don't like change. They're not comfortable with change, and they want to keep things as they are. They want to hold something, have a desire. It's fixed signs have will. Have the will. Well, maybe they move towards change, but it's incremental. It's not just all of a sudden. It's just one step and then another step, and you're gradually making change. Whereas mutable signs can just instantly make change. Fixed signs take a little longer, but slowly and surely they change, but it's not overnight. Now, Pam Gregory will be arriving to St. Menton on May 11th of this year, and I was very inspired by a video that she was making last night, and she was talking about a wonderful practice that you can do that is, so it will, do, a lot of, good for you in terms of being in a state of gratitude and appreciation. And that is saying, I love it when. And the trick with this is not to say, I love it when I'm going to be back at the Menton, or I love it when it's going to be another time or another situation than right now. It is about I love it when, and then name something right now that you like or you appreciate. And then you're putting that energy inside you, and you're allowing yourself, and so you're putting that energy inside of you, and you're allowing yourself to be filled up with that energy of love, and contentment, and happiness, and joy. So, I love it when the sun is shining, or the trees are green, or the birds are singing. Something that is present moment that you like or appreciate. And slowly but surely, you will be perhaps rewired. And you can do this, you don't have to pay to do this, it's completely free. And it, over time, it may make a lot of difference. And I'm just saying that theoretically, I have not, done it over time, but, I'm sure that it will, really make a difference to how you view your world and what kind of default that you go back to. Instead of fear, overwhelm, negativity, all of that, you go back to, I love it when, fill in the blank. And I'm sure that the spiritual teacher, Sonia Choquette, has she did something like this. If you've heard of Sonia Choquette, she was actually on Michael Sandler's Inspired Nation, which is a show where these spiritual experts come on this show, and they sort of share their experiences and share their work. So Sonia Choquette was saying, I love, and then Michael Sandler was filling in the blank, and she was just saying, I love, and then Michael Sandler was, filling that in. So it's those positive words of affirmation that become super important. So she's going to be, sort of showing us, and we're going to be doing sort of an immersion, which is actually going to be on May 9th, because of the customs that I want to have occur on that day, of connecting with the earth, putting your feet on the earth and living simply. And I really, sometimes I wish I had her perspective over life, and was that, now, in terms of her experience, I just want to tell you, she is having some issues when it comes to her leg or her knee. I'm not exactly, sure what it is, but it is in that general area. So she is having, some challenge with that. with, walking and, doing all that, but she can, make it to the event and things can work out. But, if you could send healing, wishes, prayers, you know, love her way, and I'm saying that with the knowledge that I have said things before and I have not always acted on what I'm saying. I have not always walked my talk. So, if you could send positive, vibrations, healing prayers, well wishes her way, she would, be, very appreciative of that. You know, the, music professor that I had, or that, was there, whose name was Paul Court, and I think I mentioned him before. He's burned his bridges. He left the, community college mid-semester. He never came back. He never told anyone why he would be gone. And I remember the last time we did a meeting like this, it was a couple of days before I found out that his reasons for not showing up in class were not medical related. I've talked to you about him before. And he left. He didn't do his job, and he will not be getting a job back at DMAC if he comes back again. It is not going to happen, and he broke the chair of the department's, trust. And yeah, so anyway, he does reflect the part of me that just stands up here and talks, but doesn't actually do something, doesn't actually take action and manifest something and get something done. And he just liked to talk. It wasn't about the teaching, it was just standing up and talking. And so anyway, so coming back to, Mother Nature, when she does come, we're going to be doing some work where we're going to be outside in nature. We may walk around a trail, or get outside and have a leisurely kind of stroll through nature with Pam Gregory. We may also have an experience where we're putting our feet on the earth. And it may be where we are I think actually at, there's a park, it's called McCord Park, and it's across the street of a really busy highway, and that's where we might go on May 11th, to get out, spend time in nature, and to really have that kind of experience where we are really connecting with